Lifestyle: the pressure's on in the bake-off tent, but for others, wielding the whisk is a way to relax and focus on something positive. Tuesday, the 29th of October 2019, 9:48 a.m. Updated Tuesday, the 29th of October 2019, 9:49 am. Finalist Steph takes a moment with her baking. Photo, Channel 4. Tonight, a predicted 7 million of us will tune in to see the final of the Great British Bake Off. Over the past 10 weeks, we've been captivated once again by the group of home cooks whipping up their own showstoppers alongside cassatelle, beignets, soufflé, Saint-Honoré gâteau and other obscure European delicacies. But while the pressure is on for the three finalists, David, Alice and Steph, in the Great White Tent, other bakers believe that throwing around flour in a kitchen can be much more zen experience. It can be transformative, even, in a trend known as mindful baking. Sign up to our daily newsletter. The iNewsletter cut through the noise. Just last week, former GBBO winner John Waite spoke about how he found baking a form of self-care in dealing with depression. Baking is very meditative. It's precise. You have to weigh out the ingredients, follow it step by step and focus on everything, so it's just right. It also brings you out of your shell, because if you've made a batch of brownies, you share them. I can completely understand that, says Meredith Whiteley, founder of Food at Heart. Mindful baking is a really valuable holistic way to look after yourself. Mindful baking is a really valuable holistic way to look after yourself. Whiteley is a cook, a trained meditation teacher, who has made a name for herself by hosting regular, mindful chocolate sessions across the country. This isn't, as some people first assume, sitting and thinking about chocolate, she says, but actual hands-on workshops making the sweet treat, and then eating it slowly in a considered way as part of the self-care class. Baking is a great way in for people who have tried meditation before but have struggled, she says. It's helpful to have something to focus on. Sometimes meditation and mindfulness can be seen as too serious, so if you can bring some fun to it, it just gives another creative layer to tap into. The three finalists, Steph, David and Alice. Photo, Channel 4. Mindfulness is an idea that's risen to prominence over the past few years. The NHS describes it as paying more attention to the present moment, to your own thoughts and feelings, and to the world around you, and recommends it for helping with depression and for general mental well-being. Whiteley had the idea of combining meditation with baking 2 years ago, after suffering with IBS, and she began looking for a new way of stress management. Some people might think it's a gimmick thing, but it's a legitimate mindful eating meditation, based on ancient Buddhist traditions. It can also act like a cognitive disruptor, so if you're the sort of person who has lots of thoughts running around your head lots of the time, to be able to do something that stops that is incredibly useful. A typical 90-minute class with Whiteley usually sees relaxing breathwork, guided meditation and distressing exercises that might be combined with making chocolate, then taking the time to savor the sweet. The way you taste chocolate professionally is actually the same way you practice mindful eating, just with a slightly different intention, she says. By slowing right down, people are also surprised by how much more they taste. Meredith Whiteley. Photo, todaythird.co.uk. In terms of getting more chilled out in the kitchen, Whiteley says that working with chocolate, in particular, tempering it, making it glossy and smooth, is a good exercise as you have to be focused on it, otherwise it splits and spoils. Bread-based recipes are also a good practice. Kneading dough or anything where you can really get your hands really into the ingredients, having that physical and sensory connection, especially smells, with your food is so important. I think that in a world where we can be so engrossed in technology, taking that step away and using your hands for something other than typing and scrolling is really important. Read more. Bake Off Final 2019, GBBO finalists, when it's on Channel 4 tonight, and the prize the winner gets. It's also a concept that has been covered in several recent memoir cookbooks. Olivia's Pot's a half-baked idea and Ella Risbridger's Midnight Chicken. Dr. Cinzia Pizzola, a psychologist and clinical director of the Mindfulness Project, says that there are definite correlations between mindfulness and baking. Whenever we are single-focused on something, we calm our mind. The more attention we pay to each detail, the more relaxing something becomes. By focusing completely on what we are doing, step by step, we let go of the tendency to operate on autopilot. And by becoming aware of collecting all the ingredients, producing final baked goods, we become immersed with our senses. I'd suggest that alongside classical therapy, it's a nourishing experience. If the stress of watching tonight's GBBO final all gets a bit much, Whiteley suggests that viewers could make a quick batch of cookies. Mindy, once the winner has been announced, I would go for a simple chocolate chip recipe.